Again, Christ being the ultimate sacrifice, that being the only reason why we wouldn't do the burnt offering or peace offering now. To know more detail about how the burnt offering and peace offering was done, just Leviticus, the first chapter in its entirety, goes into how the burnt offering was done.
Leviticus the first?
The first chapter, that's right.
Read all?
The whole chapter.
What?
And the peace offering is Leviticus, the third chapter. That's how the peace offering was done. It's definitely an interesting reading. It's something we definitely want to be familiar with. Even though we may not do them so much now in this time, we're going to need to know how to do these because we're going to be still setting up different offerings before the Most High when we get into the kingdom, when Christ comes back. And we're also going to be teaching this to other nations too, as far as, especially with them when it comes to the sin offering, teaching them how to do that. So that they can know, okay, anytime they sin, because in that day, we'll be perfect, we won't be able to sin. But they'll need to know how to do what? A sin offering for themselves when they make a mistake, when they transgress against the laws of the Most High. Because remember, the laws in the Bible are going to be the law of the land. It's going to cover all aspects and attributes of life. It's going to be a one unified system. You look at any of the doctrine that's out there, even in this time, and there's plenty of them, believe us, we know. None of them can measure up with the scriptures as far as how the scriptures and the law of God is all encompassing. Everything from the political to the socio-economic to religious rights, right, to civil law to criminal law. The Bible covers all angles. You see. So that's Numbers chapter 10 verses 1 to 10, along with Leviticus the first chapter, the burnt offering breakdown, Leviticus third chapter, the peace offering breakdown. How that works. So now let's go into a little bit of history to see the use of the trumpets in a time of war. Since we just read here that the Most High protect us in the time of war, we would sound out the trumpet before we would go off into the attack. Let's go to the book of Joshua now. Joshua chapter 6.
Can you bring your scripture that you read? Leviticus 23 to 25, Nehemiah 1, 8 to 12. And there was one about how the camp was removed.
You're good. We just read Numbers 10, 1 to 10. We didn't read anything out of Nehemiah yet. You looking through some of your old notes?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I know that. I've already read it before, but I got my notes at home. I'm trying to figure out where it was this.
Yeah, we just read Numbers, chapter 10, verses 1 to 10. And then we also mentioned that Leviticus, the first chapter, is the burnt offering.
What verse?
Just the entire chapter. And then Leviticus, the third chapter, the entire chapter, is the peace offering.
Leviticus the third chapter.
Okay, so now we're going to go to Joshua chapter 6, verse 1. We'll start from verse 1. And be quiet if you read that for me, Baba Kushan. I'd appreciate it. Joshua chapter 6. You're starting from verse 1.
Joshua 6 and 1. Now, and Jericho was straightly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, and none came in.
Right. So, as you read in the previous history of Joshua, word got out that we were coming for Jericho next, because now under leadership of Joshua, our commander, right, we're now going into the land of Canaan to take it over city by city, field by field. So Jericho's next up. So they said the city was shut out. No one came in or out because they said, "Oh man, these Israelites." We heard about what their God did for them back, some time back in the wilderness when they came out of Egypt, and we heard about what they did to Sihon and Og, the two heathen kings in the wilderness. So we're next up on the list. Read on to verse 2.
Joshua 6:2. And the Lord said unto Joshua, See, I have given unto thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor.
Right. So he said, I have given Jericho into your hand. Right? Even though it's us fighting, right? It's the Lord's battle. He just fights through us. He said, I gave you Jericho, I gave you the king and all their mighty men, their top guys, right? Their top warriors.
Verse 3. And ye shall compass the city, all ye men of war, and go round about the city once. Thus shall thou do 6 days.
So now the Most High is giving him instruction about what to do. He says to what? Go round about the city one time. And he says, and do this 6 days. Right? So have all the men march around the city. And then do this over a 6-day period. Read.
And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of arms, horns. In the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. And the priests shall blow with the trumpets.
Right. So now those priests, the same ones we were instructed back in Numbers to have blow the trumpets. He said you're going to have 7 priests come out, and they shall bear before the ark, right, or the ark of the testimony, which was in the innermost part or the central part of the tabernacle of the congregation. That's where it was normally kept. 7 trumpets of ram's horns. It says, in the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. So for the first 6 days, just go around once. But now on the 7th day, go around 7 times. You start to see that number 7 being used a lot, like I was discussing earlier. And once again, it's not ironic that the 7th month has so many holy days. Because now we're in a new moon, but we know 10 days from now, we're going to be keeping what day?
Dang, I looked at my schedule too. That's messed up.
Yo, Kanas?
Oh, Day of Atonement?
Kanas. Day of Atonement. And what's another holy day we're going to be keeping this month also?
The Day of the Atonement, that's on the 5th, right?
Yeah.
And something is coming up on the 10th.
I think it's the 5th going into the 6th, or the 6th going into the 7th. I might have those 2 days mixed up. Let me see if today, if 1, 3. Six. Yeah, because a week from today will be October 3rd at 7 days, 8, 9, 10, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it'll be the 5th day at sundown going into the 6th day. No, the 6th day going into the 7th day. When you count it out, but I'll verify for you guys before we close out anyway, since it's the next major holy day we're going to do besides the Sabbath. So what's the other holy day that comes up in this month besides the Day of Atonement?
Feast of Tabernacles.
Kind of both you guys are right. So you have the Memorial blowing the trumpet, which is the first day of the month, which we're in right now. Then you have the 9th day at sundown going into the 10th day of the month, right? Because when the sun sets, the 9th day ends and the 10th day begins. That's the Day of Atonement every year. And then you have the 15th day of the month, right? Or the 14th day at even, which begins the 15th day. That'll be the beginning of the Feast of Tabernacles.
No, I said when it comes to the 7th month, I find myself taking a lot of time off from work, you know.
Kind. I always talk about that. Just as far as your personal time off, your PTO days at the job, definitely get those dates mapped down so that okay, I can request off this day. And I know sometimes folks got it mixed up where they'll request off the day before. They'll say, "Oh, we're starting a service at sundown on the 5th," right? So they'll take the 5th off. They'll say, "Oh man, I'm going to take the 6th off." You'll get off, you'll work the 5th, but then as the sun sets that day, that's when the new day comes in. You want the day following to be off. Well, the calendar day following to be off, because, we have to count our days from the 5th to the 6th, or the 6th to the 7th, in that way. Because, like we were talking about earlier, the scriptures talk about how in this kingdom, they would think to change times and laws to where now the day begins at midnight, as opposed to when the sun sets. So it could be kind of tricky, sometimes confusing, as far as counting the days. So yeah, this is a high holy month, for sure.
But it's interesting though, like, as to come in the kingdom, we want to have to ask for a day off because we'll have the day off.
Yeah,
That's what I'm talking. That's right. That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
And then we'll have to make sure the heathen know, remind them, yo, chill out. You guys get a day off. Back to work afterwards, but even you guys rest on the holy days too. Because what does the law say? It says what? Not only you, but your manservant, your maidservant, your cattle, or your stranger that's within your gates.
A stranger or a slave, whatever.
So we'll be establishing the new calendar in the kingdom. So blessed be the Most High for that. That's a good observation.
24-hour celebration.
Drinking wine with Yahweh.
I have a question to ask. It says on this thing here, on this paper here, it says the Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Gathering, Feast of the 7th month. Wouldn't this be considered the Feast of the 7th month that starts off the 7th month? The Feast of Tabernacles is held during the 7th month.
When you read the scriptures, it'll probably explain it more, because the verse refers to this particular holy day as the Feast of the 7th month. When you read the verses that pertain to it on the schedule.
After a while.
Because you got plenty of holy days in this month. When you read that verse in the context, when it calls the Feast of the 7th month, it's talking about the tabernacles. When you read that verse. But a good question though. So, 7th month. It's not ironic the Heavenly Father had this day be full of so many holy days. And I just did the counting without looking at the calendar, and yeah, on your schedule it should be the 5th day at sundown, going into the 6th day, as far as the Day of Atonement. When you start from this day counting, try to practice without looking at it, just so that I can know how to count the days.
Right.
As far as when the Day of Atonement will come in. So October 5th at sundown is when it'll begin.
Yeah, the barrio.
So proud of you. So let's read on in Joshua chapter 6.
Joshua chapter 6 and verse 5. And it shall come to pass that when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, and when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall ascend up, every man straight before him.
See that? So once that 7th day comes in, it says make a long blast with the ram's horn. So sound off, and when you hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall shout with a great shout, right? So they'll yell on that day, and the wall of the city shall fall down flat, and the people shall send up every man straight before him. So this is a miracle that the Most High is saying what he's gonna carry forth a rock through his people if they follow suit with his instruction to break down the walls of the city.
Yeah, I got a question. Yeah, this thingy is getting me. You is a priest, Yasharahla's a priest, and Brakhar's a priest. Shouldn't all three of y'all be blowing the horns?
Well, we do.
No, all three of y'all like today be blowing the horns.
Why do you say that? Just curious.
No, I'm asking the question because it's saying the priests she'll blow the horn. Y'all
Mhm.
priests,